It used to be called dyslexia. All of you have done your B.Ed course, correct? You all actually learned dyslexia. It is in the B.Ed course curriculum in our state. Is it in your state? Yes. But nobody learns. That is the most important thing to teach these teachers actually. All you do is, and I keep asking the B.Ed colleges, you start asking short notes in dyslexia and various learning disorder, ADHD, etc. You start asking questions, in 2 years they will all learn. So basically, there are various causes for poor school performance. 6 of them I showed in a given child. You use the flow chart. The commonest cause, the greatest cause is LD. Surveys show, as Dr. Bandari showed this morning, he said 5 to 17%. It's actually almost 25%. Am I right? In your classes? Potential is what you should be looking at. It's not that they are passing. Many mothers come and they are very defensive. Most mothers are very defensive these days. Oh, no. He's getting 80%, doctor. He has no problem. The teacher just asks, teacher is something is wrong with the teacher. The teacher is the problem. So basically, the other thing I wanted to mention, as I said, disability. Disability is actually what cannot be corrected. Disorder is what can be corrected. Response to intervention. There is response to our intervention. It's a disorder. It's an inborn disorder. I mentioned before, there is onset from infancy. They are of neurological origin. They are a brain disorder. They are genetic. As always, you give it to us and we suffer. Correct? 4 boys out of, if you take 5 children, one girl gets it out of, after 4 boys get it. Correct? So much more preponderant in boys. 4 times more in boys. And some children, of course, learn with ease, some struggle. So it depends on the brain cell maturation. This is a brain disorder. It is not just a simple disability to learn. There are a lot of teachers referring children who have a difficulty to learn. It's not just a simple difficulty to learn. We have to go through this list that I am going to give you and show you. And it is not therefore not a term to be used for any child who fails at school. There will be enormous other reasons why a child fails at school or behaves badly. So LD children, therefore, not stupid or lazy or careless. Because some of the greatest brains in the world that lived, like Da Vinci, he was, all of you know, he's a man who was enormously enriched by the ability of his brain to produce any function from any part of the brain. But he could not write. He could only paint. He could only sketch. Thomas Alva Edison, I will be showing his example. He had how many patents? Anybody know? 1,300 patents in the United States. He studied only up to 8th standard. He was thrown out of several schools. So basically, they're all, Churchill's example I gave you, they're all people who are extremely endowed, but alternate skills. Not reading or writing or spelling or arithmetic. So therefore, we have to understand they are not stupid or lazy. They are not mentally retarded or intellectually disabled. It is not a mental illness at all. Many parents think that this is a mental illness. They refuse to go to a doctor. It is not a disability anymore. It is an RGI. So what is the definition? Everything should have a definition. You should know what exactly it is defined under. It is a group of neurological disorders. It is not just one disorder. All disorders, all these are actually, they all fall under this rubric or under this heading of learning disorder. Only one disorder. But that encompasses a large number of neurological problems in the process of learning. Learning is a neurological function in the brain. By the amount of instant connectivity that can go across various parts of the brain. Like I mentioned this morning, the incident of he's coming for a favor to my room. He suddenly quickly realizes by the connectivity across various brain areas that I am not a nice person, I am shouting, so he'll go away when he has come for a favor. And that learning is undertaken by this group. The academic learning, the academic skills is actually the learning disorder. It is a difficulty in the acquisition and the utilization of the academic skills. Which are the academic skills that we mentioned under this definition? Reading comprehension, the ability to understand when you read. These children may read. When they are in 4th standard, 5th standard, he may read a paragraph. You ask him, Suresh, what have you read? He doesn't understand, he doesn't know how to tell you. But the same paragraph you take out and read out to him, then he will tell you what he has understood. Listening and learning is a right brain function. Reading and learning is a left brain function. It doesn't happen. Is that clear? So read out to them. But while reading, he must have concentration. If he doesn't have concentration while reading and you ask him, what is it, he may not tell you. So reading comprehension is a major component of learning disorder. Writing he can't do because he can't even hold the writing instrument. What is on the paper goes to the brain. That is reading and reading comprehension. What is in the brain as an answer has to come down and on paper. That is writing. Writing is actually the opposite direction of the same road. Both are the same. So if there is a problem with reading comprehension, there is a problem in writing. Is that clear? Are you getting it? If you understand this much, the rest is easy actually. You can build on it by reading. Spelling is a problem. Spelling is a huge problem for them. You know, everybody, I had an argument with one of the professors of psychiatry in another part of Karnataka once. Because he said he is asking these children to go to Kannada medium school. I have nothing against Kannada. In our country, in our state, the same thing happens with our teachers. They say this child cannot manage English medium, so put him in Malayalam medium. Malayalam is very difficult for them. I don't know whether the alphabets are right in your language too. Kakha, gakhanga, chacha, jachanya, correct? It goes like that. If you tell a white man, tata, datana, ask him which is the fourth ta, he has a lot problem. Like you also have a problem, correct? You think about the ta in Kannada, you have a problem. You think about ta in Hindi, you have a problem, correct? Whereas I am telling you P, Q, R, S, T and ask you which is Q, there is no problem, right? Because P and Q and R, they're pronounced so differently. They are called phonemes. The phonemes are so different, one from the other. The grapheme, the writing way is so different from the other. P and Q and R are so different. So it's easier for the brain to pick up and choose and write. Is it clear? So that's why I would suggest all these children to be put in English medium school for writing purpose only. Understanding, meaningful comprehension, that is better in the mother tongue. There is no doubt about that. But then unless he writes, you will not give him any marks. True. So as I said, they are just tabletop skills. You give them a table and a piece of paper and then they write. And you think they are smart. They are actually the paper pencil skills. That's what I silly call them. Paper and pencil. Every skill stops there. These are all to do with the left brain skills. These are all the left brain skills. The real world skills of 21st century, most of them lie in the right brain. These children, they have normal intelligence. That's what you must understand. They are not learning, they are not intellectually disabled. They are not mentally retarded. They are just learning difficulty of reading comprehension, writing, spelling and arithmetic. Bus. Their intelligence is pretty good. They are smart in everything except studies. So that's what your parents will tell you. They are smart in everything. They are good in everything except studies. So it's an inborn disability with this. And LD children, they don't come with LD to doctors, child guidance clinic. They come with first as behavior problems. Attention deficit, hyperactivity, he doesn't sit at a place, he's running around the time, he's climbing the windows, he's running across the road when there's traffic, he's naughty, he's defiant, he's aggressive to the other child. Addiction to TV, computer, this is a common thing that you hear all the time. If you find a child is inexplicably addicted to visuals, like the TV, visuals like the mobile phone, visuals like the computer, then make sure he has a learning problem. Make sure he does not have a learning problem. The other is hiding or forging progress cards. Very often children who are really good, they actually, everything is with music and nursery rhymes and projects and dancing and all that. So you give them full marks. When they come into fourth, reading, writing has to be applied. That's when they start the academic struggle. When they come to 7th standard in the state medium or in the CBSE or in the ICSE, application starts. Am I right? When application starts, they have a problem. All of you have learned, say, what example? Acceleration, I was telling example to video yesterday. You have learned acceleration. It is taught in 8th standard, correct? If they teach you acceleration is rate of change of velocity. So it involves a factor of time. It is the final velocity minus the initial velocity divided by time. So A is equal to V minus U by T. All these children write the formula in the paper without a problem. But after writing the formula, you give a sum to be applied. A car that's traveling at 120 kilometers, it reduces speed to say 60 kilometers in 40 seconds, hits against a 2-ton truck traveling at 60 kilometers per hour. What is the force generated? F is equal to ma. And that application, when it comes in the 8th standard, 9th standard, that's when they actually fail. They fail to apply. Because A is hiding in this paragraph of statement. He has to look at which theorem I am going to apply in this. And he has to look at V minus U by T that he has learned. And he has to apply it to F is equal to ma, and that has to be applied. It doesn't happen in his brain with this connectivity, with the lack of connectivity as a deficit. You follow? So what does he do? He gets 11 out of 50. And unfortunately, if his metacognition is low, he makes the 1166 and takes it to his mother. See, look at these children. It's not, you should not look at this as a moral issue. And children do this. Only thing is, he doesn't realize to make it 11, he is going to be caught. So basically, they can also go, while they are older, they can go into anxiety or depression, etc. Can you imagine who wrote this? Dear mother, that's the only thing that is correct in this. Start a store, several weeks I have grown a coy cerebral, I don't look much like a boy now, how is all the fault, did you receive a box of books, Memphis, that he promised to send them languages? Do you understand what it means? That is written by Thomas Alva Edison. When he was 19, he is thrown into 8 schools, and then his mother recognizes he is not going to do any well in school, so she sent him away for some work outside Memphis, and he actually came back, and what she did was what did him greatest and did the world the greatest. All these lights that you see are actually a result of his brain. A brain that is functional with his head and hand skills. Because his mother converted the garage into his workshop and gave it to him. And would give him money whatever he wants for buying wires or buying equipment, buying lathes or whatever. And what all things he produced. Even the music you hear. You look at his imagination. Because he couldn't write, he used to dictate it to one of his friends. That fellow wanted another 800 pages made in his name. You understand? It doesn't matter to Edison actually. So basically we should know that they are excellent with their head and hands. They are very good with the head and hands. Head and hand skills are very good. So if you really put your heart into it, you can actually look at what alternate skills these children who are marked with the 3 marks out of 10 are actually going to do in future. Smart, intelligent, excellent with their hands. But in exams, like Churchill was told by his son, you are an idiot to his son, you are an idiot of his son. So how to identify? I'll quickly go through this. How to identify? In contrast to walking or talking, which are primary developments, in the first part of development, 1 month to 18 months, that's when walking and talking happens. You don't have to teach these children. Walking and talking, you don't have to teach this child. The child, my grandson is now 9 to 10 months old. He has already started putting his step. When they're 11 or 12 months old, he'll pick himself up. He'll start walking, and as he's walking, he'll fall. When he falls, he'll pick himself up and start again. He'll start, and then he'll take 3 steps, he'll take 10 steps and start walking. Nobody teaches him, correct? Amma, nobody teaches him. Appa, nobody teaches him. He learn. But reading, writing and arithmetic, you have to teach. They have to be taught explicitly. Because the Lord above did not create the brain for language, for reading and writing. Reading and writing started only about a few thousand years ago, 6,000, 8,000 years ago. The Lord about put our area for language in our brain. So language is learned by these children without having to teach. But these are not. So we have to teach them. A good teacher will actually teach them much better. So formal testing, again, as I said, is not very great. What is something called clinical synthesis? By looking at the child's performance, this collateral information from school, collateral information from parents, all this will tell you whether the child is actually a problem, whether he is struggling with his academics. If he is struggling, we just teach him, that's all. These children below 6 years, they have delayed development in speech and language, as I said before, because the brain is not developing adequately. So they don't start walking at the appropriate age, talking at the appropriate, especially language, and difficulty in narrating stories in a sequence. There's confusion with left and right, very, very important. My second grandson, he has a confusion with left and right. It's very difficult for him to handle anything. He puts out his left hand first. They're clumsy, they fall excessively, they have difficulty buttering, shoelacing, hand and side, I told you before. They have difficulty picking up rhymes or names or colors and shapes. Color identification may be difficult. Reversing alphabet, this is what you see in a class, and keep on putting your red ink on. B, D, P and Q. Whatever is similar will become dissimilar, mirror writing. And they'll keep on telling you, write it 10 times and come. He writes it 10 times, tomorrow morning he'll come and do the same thing again. 12 becomes 21. So, and they have poor attention and concentration. This is Rohan. Rohan is the child of one of our staff. I have a permission to show this and tell his name, because he is doing exceedingly well. He is a German translator. When German teams come from Germany into India, even in Chennai, he is called. He is paid almost, it's a very astronomical sum for every hour of his translation. He translates for the factories where he is taken, the team is taken, he translates. He was written off. You see this, how he has written? F and G, K, everything reversed. Where both in this, that's standard 1, English medium and CBSE. And this is again, as I said, the poor guy, I don't want to go into what he actually meant this. It's a very interesting translation. But all his teachers would say that these children, they would be the smartest lad in the whole school if instruction were entirely oral. If instruction and examination were entirely oral, he would be the smartest lad in the whole school. Many of these children are like that. Edison was like it. Reading, what are the difficulties? I won't go into the other details. They prefer being read to. They would like to be read to. Aman vaichada, read it out to me. He doesn't want to read because it tires him. Because he does not understand what he himself reads. But he comprehends when you read out to him. Get his attention on a one-to-one basis, put him under your nose and read out to him. When he has good attention and concentration, he'll understand what you're reading out to him. Make clear? And writing is the same thing. He answers orally, but you ask him, Suresh, you write the same thing on paper, he doesn't produce what he has answered orally. This is called the discrepancy factor. Discrepancy factor is, he has the entire answer in his head, in his right brain. I told you, answers lie here, what you see as visuals lie here, what to do as practicals are stuck here. What I think is stuck here, ideal thinking process is occurring here. But when I have to write, it has to come on paper. And what comes on paper and what my answer is for your question in the class, that discrepancy or gap between what he knows in his head and what he writes in the examination paper, that discrepancy is his problem. Did you understand that? All of you? So if you understand this, you will not put all those red ink in the paper. Because you understand there's something difficult with this child. How am I going to help him? You understand? So that is this. You'll see all these examples. When things are so bad, they will even write saw for was. When he has to write was, he will write saw. The whole thing is reversed. Not just a letter being mirror written. This is Rohan again. When he was in, I think, fourth standard, yes. At that time, my staff who is now in UAE, she wrote this for this is her handwriting. My school. School has the right spelling there. That's what my staff used to tell him every time. Still he makes a mistake. To take it here and write, you see the spelling here, you tell the spelling here. My beautiful garden in my school, you see this? In my school, this is correct. So basically this is what happens with these children. So you think he is making fun of you. You have written the example correctly. Today the same fellow with his oral skills, he went for studying German and he outsmarted all the others. Then he got in for a course in QSAT, the Cochin University of Science and Technology. It's a very difficult place to get in. He got in there by merit and did his German and scientific German, and now he is a translator for German. So what is our life meant for? Our life is meant for alternate skills. If the primary skills are not working. And maths, this is something that we usually see. They would write the answer, they would the fellow may know how to do this sum. He'll keep writing and he'll keep on doing the sum and he'll come to 120 into 8 and he may write 128 and go on. Don't you see this very often? 120 into 8, he doesn't recognize this. 120 has to, it has to quadruple and it has become quadruple one more and become a huge sum near to 1000. He doesn't recognize. Instead he writes 128. If we are doing it, we will immediately recognize, oh, this is hugely wrong because 120 has gone up only by 8. So we correct it immediately. Or he may write, all right, 3568 in the answer in the working column. He'll get the right answer. But when he takes it over, it will become 3658. And you'll put a strong X mark there. And you will tell them, you're careless, these are careless errors, you are not listening, you are not putting your concentration in what you're doing. It's because his right brain sees this and his left brain sees this and they have to match instantaneously. That matching does not happen. So he doesn't understand it is one group of digits here and the other group there, they don't match. It doesn't happen because the brain cells don't connect each other instantaneously. Therefore, we understand this, but we should also know that many normal children display these symptoms. There are many normal children who display many of these symptoms. So don't brand everybody LD. And all LD children need to have all these pointers. And if we have a few pointers, don't make a diagnosis of LD and send him to Virupaksha. Because then they'll get upset when Bandari or Virupaksha sees them, they will say, no, he doesn't have LD and that's it. So you will be in the block of the building next time. So we should learn. It's normal for a child to struggle like this. They learn as we go on. The development disorders, language and speech. This is very important, as I said. For everything, you need language. It is the greatest asset the Lord has put in our brain. We don't understand how it develops. We never used to understand how it develops. The whole thing is because of connectivity. One area connecting with the other. I'll give you an example, the same example I give you so that you understand and remember. As I am speaking to you, the ideas are coming in my right brain. I am being told my central executive sitting here, Chappy, you rush, they are getting bored, they have to have a lunch, so he is rushing me. So all these electrical signals are coming here to the ideation thinking process area of this brain on my right side. But ideas are being formed there and they have to be spent as the smallest sentences so that I can save on time. So these electrical signals, they have to pass a bridge that divides the right brain and the left brain. This is the left brain. So the electrical signals that arise here, that pass a bridge that divides, called corpus callosum. That to cross across the corpus callosum and get to the left brain, and my left brain controls language and speech. Left brain, there is an area here called inferior frontal gyrus. Inferior frontal gyrus on the left brain controls lexicon, dictionary of all languages that are here. Kanda Gottagatta, even Kannada is sitting here from long number of decades back. And for all these, each of these languages, there are dictionaries sitting there, lexicons. And right in front of that, there is a grammar area, semantic area. Some of you who have learned the English language, you would have learned about semantic area. Semantics, it's about language being formed, words in form being formed using the grammar of that particular language. My Malayalam semantics, Hindi semantics, everything is there. And in front, there is a pragmat area, that is the editing area. So as I am speaking, the signals take these words across the bridge to the other side, to the area called lexicon, and this instantaneously the words are picked up. They put in a box and taken to the area which controls grammar, the semantic area. Those words, 5 or 6, 8 or 6 words, are put together in grammar and syntax to form sentences. And those sentences are then taken to the front area. I don't have time to explain how this happens, but the grammar sentences are taken to the front area, and that area, pragmat area, puts these sentences in grammar, syntax, and order and sequence using a logic. And that is what you hear now. Am I clear? So you can imagine the ingenuity of the creator millions of years ago. How this connectivity has to occur just like that, because what I am going to say, even I don't know actually. Only when the words come out, I realize this is what I was trying to say. The general idea I have there, which is being controlled by another area here, which is sending electrical signals to the right brain from the left. That's called the CEO, the central executive. Central executive, the executive area, through what is called the executive network, which is millions of connections and millions of neurons and trillions of connections occurring instantaneously. Can you imagine? So you can imagine how AI, artificial intelligence, is going to overcome us. Because AI is doing the same thing. So that's what happens. I'll quickly show you what the left brain does. As I said, reading, writing, language, communication, calculation, all these are from the left brain. Logic and argument comes from there. Whereas music or art or painting, dancing, fantasy, imagination, all these come from there, on the right side. Sports or games come from there. When you have to look at going to a place, navigation comes from there. Direction comes from there. I'm no good with this, because if I get out here and then Virupaksha says, can you find your washroom? I will not be able to find my washroom. Because I have a huge problem with navigation and directions, which is my right brain. Cooking, homemaking, you can see the fellow. All come from the right brain. Designing, crafting, management skills, as I told you about the D fellows, grade D fellows, and they are managements. So basically all these are the right brain skills. You can see the alternate skills that are coming up. Instead of these, what I call the paper pencil skill, the stupid skills. I am so restless in my feet. And that is ADHD. So when you are teaching, the child looks here, the child looks there, nudges the fellow there, or he drops a pencil, gets down to take the pencil, or some of them whose control is much less, he would suddenly stand up and then walk out. This is what happens. So I want to just tell you that this is one of the advantages of ADHD. Everybody says ADHD is a bad thing. ADHD is a good thing. Because there are 10 things I can do actually. Sitting in my consultation room, at a given time I can do 10 things. I still remember when I replied to Virupaksha's thing. I was actually I do only telemedicine consultation. I was looking at the monitor, and looking at the monitor I typed the message to him. So you'll find that in the brain, this is the normal brain, where all these red areas are there, that they're smart and good. This is called utilization of the glucose, the red areas. That doesn't happen in the child who is born with this. And you see the difference. The brains are unable to utilize the pathways of information processing. Information processing, as is right to left, even within one brain, one left brain, one right brain itself, the pathways of information processing, this brain with ADHD is unable to do. And that's it. there are two boxes, two clusters of symptoms. One is of inattention, lack of attention. They lose concentration. In your class, the child loses concentration. The other is hyperactivity and impulsivity. That's how you know the child. So all children are not hyperactive. They're just inattentive, especially girls. Girls will be actually imagining and thinking about things. And attention will not be in what you're teaching. She may not be restless. She may not be moving. She need not be fidgety or squirmy. But you know that there are distractions going in her mind. And this is the first thing. They are distracted. Attention. So distractions occur. You can read through the list when you go home, because you'll find these either in your children, if you have small children, or in other children in the neighborhood, or in your own class. You'll find many of them. You can go through them. For want of time, I'm going to rush through them. So that's all about inattention. And impulsivity. As I said, they're very restless with their hands and feet. They squirm in their seat. It's difficult for them to sit in a seat. They tap on the table, leaves the seat in class where seating is norm, or runs about. Or as I said, when guests come home, they are all the worse. When 3 guests come home, they become all the more restless. I can see some of you smiling. I know what is happening. So when guests come home, they climb the window sill all the more. Then when guests come home, they'll walk on the back of the sofa. And when you tell them don't do that, they will do it twice as much. So basically, this is what happens. This is ADHD. What you need to understand is they are not terrible children. They have a difficulty to control this. And only environmental control can produce this by quiet, firm, consistent firmness. Without shouting, without raising a voice, without any punitive measurements, any pinching or beating. So these are ADHD symptoms. If the children are put on medication, they say it's bad for the brain, it's bad for the kidney. And our newspapers also spread the same thing. I don't know how it is in Karnataka, but in Kerala it is this. They say it's bad for you see, 70 to 80% with children with ADHD, they improve medication. The right medication, right dosage. That has to be there. There are only transient side effects which pass. But what is to be understood is, these medicines have been used for decades now, and millions of children across the world have benefited. So that's something that you must remember. This is my 5-finger approach to LD and ADHD management. I am not going to the details except to tell you the need for limit setting and parenting and pharmacotherapy. Pharmacotherapy is medications. So you must understand, every child who has to concentrate has to have this limit setting. Has to have what I mentioned as structured environment. If the environment here is not structured, if you are allowed to walk around and move around, I would be distracted. If I don't ask you to put off your mobile, my mobile rings, I get distracted. The quality of your interaction, the quality of your learning always goes away if the environment is not structured. So you have to structure the environment. If you have a child sitting in a class with his boots up and moving the up and down when the teacher comes in, like my son experienced it in his 8th standard, you can't do the learning process. It is a wise thing that you returned. So you have to understand that is something that we should produce by limit setting and good parenting. Good parenting, as I was mentioning to someone in the morning, good parenting is about Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. 8,000 years ago. At that time, there was no way in which limit sets could be made. At that time, there were no kings, there were no armies. It was very difficult discipline. And the munis of those days, the thinkers of those days, they found that the greatest thing about good control is the smallest unit. And the smallest unit of society is the pyramid, with the apex being Matru Devo Bhava. And the lower being Pitru Devo Bhava and Acharya Devo Bhava. Acharya is not the guru, it's not just a teacher. Acharya is a skill teacher. He teaches skills. And therefore, this is what our new generation should come to in our country.